Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the PUBCAST, by the fans, with the fans and for the fans. I'm Dan Mounter, I'm joined again by Greg Mitchell. This week we'll be talking about Liverpool being champions, the upcoming Derby versus Nottingham Forest match, and of course the pub's finally reopening. So we've just watched Forest scrape win against Bristol City. It wasn't pretty at times, was it? But got the job done in the end.
Yeah, it was a massive win. I mean, I know by the time this comes out that there's going to be some other big results around the Championship, but with Fulham winning, Brentford winning, Brentford on an incredible run tonight, we had to win.
Do you think Brentford have a chance of getting automatics now?
I think it's hard because it's about West Brom now. I think Leeds are pretty much home and dry, and it depends how West Brom go along. But it's us, Fulham and Brentford. If we keep winning, then it's exciting.
Yeah, there'll probably be a few twists and turns yet, I reckon, and somebody's bound to wobble at the top end.
Yeah.
Derby obviously coming on strong now as well.
Yeah.
Very close to the playoff places now, putting the pressure on that end as well. So.
Well, it's a big goal, isn't it? Wayne Rooney, you know.
Yeah.
Paid by the sponsors and.
Which goal's better though, the Rooney free kick or the Silva free kick?
Oh, Silva, obviously. It's perfect.
So the pub's reopening just in time for the big game of the season, of course, Derby versus Nottingham Forest. How do you see it going?
I mean, we've just watched the Forest win against Bristol City and Derby scraping a win against Preston. So it's all to play for. They've had a brilliant start of this mini-season and we've not lost yet. So, I mean, you all know what the result is. We don't yet. But I think we've got a massive chance. We really have. And if we win that, it ends their hopes, I think.
And how much better do you think it will be for the fans being able to be in a pub to watch the game rather than just at home?
The first game I watched was just at home, laptop, awful. Second game, had a couple of people in my garden, made such a difference. Tonight, obviously, we've watched it together, and just being with your mates, you have that little minute where you're forgetting.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting as well to see how the game pans out. You know, without a crowd being there, you know, bringing that atmosphere, whether it's still going to be a bit of net-up. It's always a bit of a, you know, bookings and sendings off and, you know, a few challenges going in. I think it will still be competitive, but I just wonder whether the lack of the fans being there might not be.
Oh, you haven't got the home fans down the referee's neck, have you? You know what these Championship refs are like, they're card happy, so you know, that might help us, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what some of the fans thought about the pubs reopening again, and then later we'll be catching up with BBC Radio Nottingham presenter David Jackson.
Initially I was a bit concerned about people getting too close, but after working a couple of shifts I've been a lot more comfortable around people and actually really enjoyed getting back to work.
Hello, the pubs are opening.
I'll call you back.
So I think it's fair to say that everybody's happy that the pub's back open again.
Yeah.
Forest going to make playoffs?
Yeah, well, you bloody
Well,
hope
playoff
so
final.
now. Yeah, and our semi-final results of recent years in the playoffs haven't been too great. They've been pretty much heartbreaking, and you know, it's bittersweet that we're not going to be there, but it might make a little bit of a difference not having that huge pressure that, you know, one of the bigger clubs like Forest playing a smaller team like Derby, say, in a playoff final, it might make a difference.
Yeah, I think as well, Forest tend to be better away from home anyway, don't they? So over 2 legs,
Yeah.
keep it tight at home, try and, you know, do the business away from home, and we'll just have to see what happens. But
And it's usual that there's usually one team that pushes into the top 6, where you've got a team like Brentford now who are flying. Like, they're going to be that danger team, so I think we need to stay with them and try and not meet them until the final. We don't want to be 6th and playing them at 3rd and with the form they're in, so we need to keep getting these points in.
yeah, it tends to be a team that come up as well, sort of from below, don't they? Like a bit like Derby have been doing, coming up with some good form, and traditionally in the playoffs that tends to be the form team, doesn't it? That finishes perhaps 6th because they've had to sort of, you know, get their way up there and stuff. So, but do you see yourself seeing Forest in the playoff final, watch it in the pub with all your mates?
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, when the season started again, I thought I'm watching the whole season on my laptop and that's it. And then obviously Boris has come out and said the pubs are open. So now we've got a chance to just have that just a little bit of atmosphere that you get from the ground in the pub. So yeah, it's going to be huge, and it's not just South Bank, is it? It's like the Nav and everything. They're going to be over there, going to be showing it. So there's going to be plenty of places.
Fingers crossed we get to the promised land, eh?
Oh yeah, like I say, it's bittersweet. But we wanted to be there if and when we get promoted, but like you saw tonight with that game, hanging on at the end, there's not one of us who wanted to see us concede, was there?
It was a bit nerve-wracking towards the end, wasn't it? Yeah, let's touch on the Premier League then a little bit as well. So Liverpool finally champions, long time coming. I think everybody knew it was going to happen eventually. Amazing job Klopp's done. I think they've been tremendous this season and pretty much last as well. I think they've had unlucky not to win it last year. It was Man City were like a juggernaut really. What do you think about the current Liverpool team? I mean, the back four for me, at such an age, you know, Robertson, Van Dijk, Gomez, Trent Alexander-Arnold, all a good age. They could be the back four for the next 4, 5, 6 years.
I didn't really want it, to be honest. I missed that. But in all seriousness, like there's some stats came out today about Van Dijk, and you know, it's one of these. He looks like your big old-fashioned like centre back who just hoofs it, this, that, the other. He's got by far the most pass completion in the Premier. It's like 2,600 passion for the whole season. And you've got your fullbacks or your wing backs, those just young rockets that are better than most right and left wingers in the whole league. So they have been unstoppable. But then you watch the Man City team now, the way they're playing, and you think, how are they not champions? So you think Man United, with all their money and all that, they will eventually be there, but they've got so much more to do than just throwing money at big players. Like they're rumoured Sancho for like 100 million. It's not. Football's changed now, especially after COVID, and just throwing money at it, it's not going to work. And so it's going to be interesting the next few years. But unlike the unpopular opinion, my opinion is Liverpool aren't going to walk it for the next couple of years. Man City aren't going to sit back now. No way. They're going to go for it. Man United, like on the heels. Frank Lampard's Chelsea.
I think Chelsea will be there. That's next year.
And then you never know with Mourinho. If he sticks it for a few more months, he could turn it around with Spurs.
Yeah. Let's see what David Jackson from BBC Radio Nottingham had to say about Liverpool's dominance. Talking point, I suppose, is the wait for the title for Liverpool is finally over. 30 years. Fully deserved, of course. Do you think it'll be a bit of a period of dominance for them, or flash in the pan?
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I was talking to my cousin about it. My cousin's a big Liverpool fan. He lives up there as well, so he's allowed. But he was saying about how everybody just hated them during the 80s because they had that, you know, still going on with the period of dominance they've gone on for some time. And I was sure at the end of last season, when they finished on, 97, 98 points and still didn't win the league, I thought it is going to be a monumental effort for them to be able to carry that on, because you'd think that the hit of not winning it would completely damage them. But of course it didn't, and they've somehow come back even better and thoroughly deserve to win it. I don't know. The thing about a period of dominance, when you think about it like that, you look at when Manchester United did it. What they did is they had a few different teams over a few years. They could reinvent themselves. They'll lose a key player or two, and then through come more. Often with Man United, of course, a lot of younger players coming through, but Ferguson's ability to bring players in as well, to change a team, make them set up slightly differently, different look to them, but still just as dominant as the previous group he had. And that's going to be, I guess, the challenge for Klopp. If he suddenly lost, a Salah or somebody, then it's about regrouping, isn't it? It's about, what he can assign, how he can adapt to that. At the moment, they're just, like you said, fully deserve to win it. And it's strange, isn't it? Because when you kind of grow up in my generation, it feels funny to say, "Oh, I'm so pleased for them to get to win the league." It's Liverpool, for goodness sake. Like, they're always up there, aren't they? Yeah. And they were the team that, we hated when they were rivals in that sort of time, because they just won everything, and they were just this annoying team like Arsenal at the time, who just, who won everything. But now, I'm just pleased for them. I'm pleased for Klopp, because I just think he's brilliant. And I was worried at first with him whether he might end up sort of lasting a season and then going, but thankfully they've kind of stuck with him and now they're getting the reward. So, yeah, thoroughly deserved. Will it be sustained? Could well be, but I think this next season will be really interesting from their point of view.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there with can they keep hold of their bigger stars like Salah and Mane, perhaps, because we've seen previously with Coutinho that when the bigger clubs come in, like a Barcelona or Real Madrid, and this goes for Klopp as well, I suppose, that can they keep hold of Klopp or a Salah or a Mane and then go again? You know, you can't rest on your laurels. You've got to constantly go, haven't you?
But you don't necessarily want to just keep hold of all your best players at once. I mean, if you think of, it was Spurs' problem, wasn't it, under Pochettino? They've got the same squad year after year, then it gets stale and it just falls apart. You need to keep evolving it. And there are going to be some players like Trent Alexander-Arnold who stays there for a long, long time. He's a local lad, he's a fan, he's got no inclination to leave. So you'll have a base of players who want to stay there for a long time. It's about refreshing it, I think. And I think that's what Klopp's going to have to do is take the gamble of saying, okay, yeah, we will lose a key player or two. And then it's about recruitment, and then it's about who's going to fit in to that style, how you're going to adapt that style to bring, certain different players in. And it's that enables you, sets apart, I guess, a good manager from a really great manager. Is that ability to say, okay, we've lost a key player, now let's change it and evolve it and make it happen again and build another great team.
Yeah,
that's the challenge.
I think one thing in their favour as well is, in my opinion, you've got your back four, Robertson, Van Dijk, potentially Gomez, and then Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, they're all such a good age as well. They could be the back four for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years, couldn't they, if they wanted to be?
Yeah, which is what Liverpool had years ago. When you think of that kind of solid back four of, you've got your Hamilton and Lawrenson and all of that were there for years and years and years. And like you say, if they've got that, then it's about those players ahead of them. If for example, Salah was like, okay, I'm going to go off to Barcelona or wherever, you say, okay, and then you change it. Man United lost some big players over the years when Ferguson was in charge, during the 90s and beyond. And actually, he just went and got someone else. And changed it all, was prepared to lose a few, was prepared to start the season entirely with kids, famously, of course, because he knew and was prepared for that. It was a constantly evolving picture, and that's what you need in football, especially modern football. Players kind of have often a few years somewhere. Some players, not all, you have a few years somewhere, and they say, I need a new challenge. Well, then let them go, get someone else in. Could it be a period of dominance? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Because you look at the top of the Premier League, and there's quite a few clubs that you think, obviously Man City. I look at Man United has played so well the other night. I know it's only Brighton, but I kind of think I wonder, in a couple of years maybe, are they going to be up there as well? Chelsea you can never rule out. But it's so open now. I mean, the fact that Leicester and Wolves are where they are, that Sheffield United are where they are, it's so it's such an interesting picture now. The top of the Premier League, I'd say it's way more interesting now. Even though we've had a team win it by so much, I'd say the top of the Premier League is more interesting now than it has been for a few years. Really, I think it's a really exciting time in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in terms of motivation as well, they're probably going to have to be looking at trying to break Man City's total from last year between now and the end of the season, because obviously they've already won the title now. There's nothing really to play for in their eyes. And I can't see him resting players and perhaps bringing on the odd Harvey Elliott, perhaps, or something like that. But you've got to think they'll probably try and want to beat that record, aren't they?
Motivation. That's another interesting point, isn't it? You've already won the league. You've done, obviously at the start of this season, Klopp would have said to them, you've had the best season you've had and not won it. You can either walk away from that and have nothing, or you can double that and get something. So they've done that. I guess the motivation now for some of those young players you were talking about, especially the young local ones, the motivation is you are good enough, you can become as dominant as previous Liverpool teams. You can become one of the great Liverpool teams of all time if you go on next year, you win the league again, you win the Champions League. You know, if you can assert your dominance in that way, there's still plenty to go for. If you can say to those young lads, look, you can win the Premier League back to back, that's a heck of an achievement. If you can win a Champions League to this for going forward now, then you're saying to them, you can become one of the great Liverpool teams ever, and that's motivation. I think that's plenty. I'm not worried about their motivation. Klopp's got them so well drilled, so disciplined, that I think I can't see them just suddenly going, right, we've won and then drop off. I might be proved wrong, but I'd be really surprised with that team. They're so clinical, they're so good. I'd be amazed.
Absolutely. So I'll ask you the same question that I asked David. Do you think Liverpool will be able to hang on to the likes of Mane and Salah if some of the big boys like Barcelona around did come in, or even Klopp as well?
They're not going to be the Salah Club Liverpool.
Sold Coutinho, didn't they? If you think about it as well. So
and it benefited them. Klopp's one of the most clever managers around at the minute. I think he will only sell if he knows it will benefit them. Every player's got the price, obviously. I know it's just a boring cliche, but they have. And if he thinks it will benefit that squad to get more better players in, then he'll do it. But he's not breaking that team up because they're so young.
And how do you think they might strengthen next year, assuming they will strengthen next year, of course, rather than sort of treading water? I mean, what do you think they need? Do you think they need another striker to back up Firmino? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, they lost players in the past, didn't they? But this whole squad, this whole team's worked so well for them. Of course they're going to strengthen, but they only have to look a few miles down the road, and both those Manchester teams, they're breathing down their necks. They've got to be. Man United don't survive unless they're the biggest club in the world. So, if Liverpool are just going to spend, it won't work. That's why they needed a genius like Klopp behind the scenes to do everything.
Yeah, so I mean, if a Barcelona came for Klopp, then you think he'd?
I don't think he'd go. He left Dortmund because he felt like he'd taken Dortmund where he needed to take them, and he'd given them fans what he wanted.
He had one really bad season at Dortmund, didn't he? After he won sort of titles and stuff, they almost got relegated, didn't they?
But they stuck.
Down,
yeah, they stuck with him though, and you can just tell he's one of those rarities that's about passion, and maybe, he wasn't the best player when he was a player, so maybe that's a little bit of that fighting spirit that he needed, but it was such an obvious choice for him to go to Liverpool, because as much as, personally I'm not a fan of Liverpool, they do have those standards of that working class, honest club, and he is that kind of manager. He will not screw them over. The only reason he leaves Liverpool is because he thinks he's done everything he can.
Excellent. Let's hear what some of the fans had to say about Liverpool's Premier League triumph.
What does Liverpool winning the league mean to me? Well, from someone who's supported them since they were 7, my earliest memory is them winning the double in 1986. So domination in the 80s, the last league success in 1990, until now. Man United winning God knows how many Premier League titles has been painful when we were so dominant, and to take us till now to finally win one is a bit of a relief, but watching them this season has been fantastic. They've been such a great side. It's very difficult to single out one particular player because they've all been great in their own way. They're such a solid side. It's been brilliant to watch. Finally to get over the line now, despite what's happened in the last few months, has been brilliant. Come on.
So what does Liverpool winning the league mean to me? Well, it's fucking amazing, that's what. Get in, yes! So happy it's finally been done. And yeah, after all the near misses over the last few years, I'm just so happy that this team's finally managed to get it over the line. And what a team they've been. Even with COVID-19, I don't think any true football fan, whether you're Everton or Man United particularly, could deny just how good this team's been this year and the fact that they definitely deserved it. So, get in, lads, champions!
Scarce as want league. It's alright though, because I kind of got my head around it after Christmas. It was inevitable, wasn't it? Don't make it any easier. Anyway, fuck Liverpool, fuck Jurgen Klopp, fuck Jamie Carragher, fuck Ken Dodd, fuck Cilla Black, fuck Ken Cottrell. You don't think she's a Scarcer? She's actually a Scarcer. Fuck her. Fuck John Lennon. Actually, no, don't fuck John Lennon, because they've got an airport named after him, because that's the first place he went to as soon as he got a bit of money. Anyway, here's to another 30 years.
Okay, so they've won the league, but is it a proper league? Does it really matter? You know, there's going to have to be a massive asterisk next to this year, isn't it? Because essentially, they've won a tournament where you are allowed 5 subs, which has water breaks, with no fans in the grounds. That's a separate competition to what they were playing before the break. So can you really class it as a real title? So, you know, fans and all you can't class it as a title if you can't have an open bus parade, can you really? So is it real? I don't think it's real. I think it's a bit of a social experiment. And listen, yeah, they've won it, but does that really matter? Blackburn have won it, Leicester have won it. Maybe if they win it next year, you know, we'll give them a big silver plate or something. But yeah, you know, it doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Evening. I'd just like to say that I normally wouldn't congratulate Liverpool on winning anything, so I'm not going to start now. Just like to say, Copite, thank you for releasing your fireworks into the Royal Blue Liver building in Liverpool, our Royal Blue Liver building, which just goes to show the city's all ours, the city's all ours. You Copite bastard, the city's all ours, the city's all ours, the city's all ours. You Copite bastards, the city's all ours. Oi, oi.
Yeah, that was great to hear from some of the fans, especially our resident Everton fan, on his unbiased opinion. And that city is his, of course. I want to speak, it's not just about football, is it? It was so nice to see the football back, but all of a sudden we've got Formula One, we've got cricket, we've got 2 different boxing promoters, you know, pushing their cards now, all behind closed doors. But it's just exciting to get that buzz back on all the sports. So
yeah, absolutely. And it'd be interesting to see, I think, the cricket, to see if that might be the first sport to potentially try and get fans back in.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about the NFL, didn't you?
Yeah, so I saw that on Sky Sports News today, that the NFL are trying these like disinfectant zones where I think it's Wimbledon as well have got it for their staff at the minute. And you walk through, you get disinfected, you get your temperature checked. They're saying they can do 4,000 people an hour, a 50,000 seat stadium. You know, you can all be in within a couple of hours if they've got 13 booths or something. Now, with cricket coming back August the 1st, especially the 4-day game, that could be the perfect situation to test getting a small amount of fans into a ground.
Yeah, because you're not talking thousands and thousands, are you?
No,
cricket.
no.
So yeah, I mean, you could potentially try and look to space them out a bit as well. And like I say, if you've got something like that, you know, to disinfect people, and some people probably need a wash anyway, don't they? So that might be a bad idea.
Some of our mates.
Yeah, but yeah, I do think cricket could be a good idea to perhaps trial the first, bringing fans back in.
And then you've got, for me, like the interesting one's the F1, because the F1 for me is one of the only sports where you don't really notice the crowds until the end. So I think you'll be able to get lost in that a little bit and forget that it's not behind closed doors, because you've got all the radio chat and all this, that and the other. So that'll be a really good one to start watching. And by the time this is out, we'd have already had one race, so we'll know how good or how poor it was. Yeah, keeping on that subject, like the Premier League, the Championship, even down to the National League now, they were cut short, so they had to finish, like they had to find a way. And luckily now it seems like all these clubs are going to get a finish, where other sports are now thinking, how do we start our seasons? So they've had a lot more time to look at how the Premier League's gone about it. You know, they've not got the facilities that the Premier League have, but they've gone about it their own way. And boxing's the perfect example, where they've designed, especially Eddie Hearn's Matchroom, they've designed now an arena in his back garden, not even thinking about fans. They know they can't have fans. They've got a huge fight in Dillian White and Povetkin coming up, and it'll be really interesting to see how that one pans out. Not just the fight result, but how fans take to it, whether they pack the pubs out and watch it, or they pay for it, pay-per-view or whatever it is. and it'll be a really interesting thing. And part of me thinks, can't wait, I love the boxing, can't wait to watch that, and the other part of me thinks, I hope it's not that great, because I want them to design something to say, fans are coming in, here's our next event, like the decontamination units which you could walk through.
I think the one thing that I'm looking forward to for the return of boxing is being able to hear the sort of tactics, because you can't really hear, can you?
Can you imagine what those corners are with?
Well, exactly, and I think that's going to be the interesting part, because normally when you've got the crowd noise, you can't hear what the trainers are saying and all that sort of stuff, whereas now, in theory, you should be able to actually hear a bit of tactics, go into him or fall back or whatever. And I think it would be really interesting to hear, because when you're watching football without the fan sound, you can sometimes hear the managers, can't you? I heard Gary Rowell the other day for Millwall saying, take him out when they're on a counter attack, which I found quite interesting.
Millwall manager saying that?
Well, exactly, but they're the little bits that you don't normally see. So I think if there's one benefit of no fans being there, perhaps it is to actually hear the little bits that perhaps you wouldn't normally hear.
I know in the last episode I mentioned how I surprisingly loved the crowd noise as the Bundesliga had brought in. I've now turned that off because, like yourself, it's almost like being nosy. It's almost like a bit of reality TV, isn't it? Exactly. You're hearing everything and like all the Fs and. But that's again the difference between the Formula One. You already had all the radio chat, so it is going to feel pretty normal watching that. And with going back to the cricket, I think the cricket will be the first one that could seriously look at having a certain amount of fans in the stadium. Yeah. Especially for a 4-day game, like the big teams like your Notts, your Yorkshire and this, that, and Lancashire, they've got their money from the ECB, but the smaller teams that relying on these 300-400 people coming through their gates each week, they're going to have to do something. So fingers crossed, if it's safe to do so, we'll get some fans at some kind of sporting event soon.
Yeah. I mean, do you think they're likely to bring it back this year, or do you think it's going to, because again, so we don't know if definitely at the moment, but it sounds like it's going to be like another sort of spike in the coronavirus. So do you think it's going to come back for next season? Or do you think it's going to be after Christmas? Or? I'm
confident that there's going to be, alright, we're not going to get vaccines and I don't want to get into all that, you hear it on the news all the time, but I'm confident there's going to be things in place to get fans in grounds, like what I saw today with these decontamination and temperature checking units. If you can feel safe in a crowd, all the shops are open, the pubs are now opening, although on a crippling limited basis. There's going to be more and more companies now developing new ways of entertainment, and it has to start with the sport industry because that trickles down into most other industries.
Yeah, I certainly wish I had a business selling masks at the moment. I'm absolutely raking it in.
Yeah, true.
Thanks for joining us for episode 2. I hope you've enjoyed it, because we have. Obviously this is filmed before the Derby versus Nottingham Forest match, so we don't know the results, but let's hear what some of you had to say about it.
Well, what can you say after that? I mean, bloody hell. Dominated the whole match, fully deserved the win, and then 96th minute, terrible foul to give away, flapping at the cross coming in there, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? Deserved to come away with the win, should have beaten 3 times this year. So Wayne Rooney's Derby County 1, Nottingham Forest 1. I'd fancies against them in the playoffs.
So my immediate reaction to Forest Derby may become somewhat irrelevant by the end of the season. Forest Derby, massive game. Hearts on your sleeves, lives on the line. But it doesn't matter. It's a 1-1, it's a point. It's a point. We're still in it. We are still in it. The playoffs are still there. Doesn't affect a thing. So keep behind the boys. Let's see them go up.
Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2 of our PUBCAST. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and we'll see you at the next episode.